Today I want to attract your attention to a situation that is recurrent, is coming up and again in the news today, yesterday, day before. And I want to invite you to revisit history. God has given us the course of history as a lesson, just like He told in His Bible, in His Word. He told His people, make sure you continue talking about the way I delivered you out of Egypt. And He insisted time and time and time again throughout the Old Testament part of the Bible to the importance, the crucial importance of talking about past history. Parents telling their children, children telling their own children, rehearsing history, telling, and the reason is, if you forget history, it will repeat itself. Many people have said that. And you look at the fact that when Jesus came, He continued talking about history. He quoted the Old Testament several times in His teaching. And He even one day invited 3 of His disciples to be there with Him while He was having a conversation on top of a mountain with Moses and Elijah. So He valued the past as part of His overall plan. I want to give you another example now to talk about a particular issue, the issue of compromise. Compromise seems like a good idea. I've lived 25 years in the UK and I've observed that they are the champions of compromise. They are excellent diplomats. They know how to turn the words, use soothing words, and they hate confrontation. So they don't go out voicing violent words, very much differently from the French, I must say. They are very, very adept to diplomacy, arrangements, compromise. The aim is being in peace and keeping the world in peace. And I want to give you an example I've just studied in history. The period of what is called the Appeasement. Appeasement is defined as a diplomatic strategy of making concessions to a hostile power in the hope that it will avoid further escalation. And the perfect example of that is what happened in Europe with a focus on Britain with Chamberlain in 1937. The Brits started seeing the moves of Hitler towards expanding the German territory. And they tried to arrange stuff, saying, well, let's go this way and not further, and bits by bits, their absence of confrontation of Hitler's plans resulted in the annexation of Austria, then the parting of Czechoslovakia, and so on and so forth. And we know that eventually it escalated into the Second World War because the poison was not stopped in the bud. Now let's look at the Bible. In Matthew, the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 27, at the beginning of day, Jesus was with Pilate, in front of Pilate. He was brought to Pilate, that was the governor at that time. And Pilate examined the situation. You can read the chapter. He said, That man is innocent. I can't condemn him. Why should I? And the people continued shouting. They didn't really provide a plausible answer. They continued shouting, "Crucify him." He offered to release him and kill him in his place. A man that was already condemned to death, that was Barabbas, that was a violent man. The crowd refused. It was goaded by the chief priest that wanted the destruction of Jesus. And the thing went on, and it is recorded that his wife sent a word to him at that point, telling him, "Please, don't do anything bad to that man, Jesus. I had a very, very terrible nightmare about him. Don't condemn that man." But the crowd was shouting louder and louder. And they even told Pilate, "If you are not listening to us, then it means you are not a friend to Caesar." That was the emperor, the Roman emperor, that was in charge of the country at that time, that had colonized it. And so Pilate didn't know what to do, and he was afraid. He was afraid of the violence of the population. He was afraid of the possible consequences of having riots on his hands that he couldn't master. He was afraid that the Roman authorities would come and remove him from his seat and do worse to the country. Eventually, it is recorded that he asked for water. A basin with water was brought. He washed his hands and said, "I wash my hands of this issue. It's not my fault, but yet it was his own decision that led to the crucifixion." Obviously, we know about God's plan, but what I'm talking about is what was going on earth at that time. He was afraid. He caved in and compromised. And we see that he didn't go anywhere. Now we are faced with another violence right on our doorstep. Crowds are coming, pushing in violently, massively. Anything you say that differs from their own views is leading to attacks, killing, threatening, and they are going on and on and on and on. And so far, people have been caving in, caving in, caving in. If you look at history worldwide, whole Christian countries have been emptied of their Christian population. In Syria, in Lebanon, in Turkey, many other countries. Look at the history of Nigeria and you see what happened. And anywhere they go, they destroy and erase everything about the country that was before. And Christians are being killed daily until they take over completely. Now, God is not for compromise, but remember one thing, His kingdom is not from this world. So I invite you to pray and stand your ground for the truth, the whole truth, the truth always said in love, but please never compromise with evil. God bless you as you listen.